Thank you so much for joining us, Ashley, and sharing the story of how WCL creates its values and lives it out. So I guess my first question is, how did you even come about thinking about what your values are?
Yeah, it was a fascinating thing because it was always, everything was sort of team-based, so this came through all of us, particularly in the leadership team. Fast-growing business, we focus on advisory, so all of our work was about the people. We, over the first 4 years of our growth, which was awfully fast, had no values written. Yet when outside assessors spoke to us, they said that our people were more aligned than others that they'd looked at. So we received the relative awards around investors in people and sort of other recognition and feedback from clients. So at about year 4, as our growth came, we sort of asked all of our clients, what is the value proposition you take from us? What is it? Why do you buy us over others, etc., etc.? And it always came down to the nature of the people. And it was the differentiating factors around that. So that was a value proposition that we believed that we needed to bring alive, to reinforce and also make sure we could duplicate in the future. So we said, let's make sure that we're a lot more clear about having a process to make these things stick for the long term and not just sort of be a family at the start of the business. So as a leadership team, we got together, we started to work on some principles. We got a values group together in the organisation, which was a representative mix of everybody, who started to say, actually, what are the sort of 4 or 5 key things that should define who we are and our personality and how we should behave. And came up with some terms, and they brought them back to us, and then we worked together as a leadership team with them and said, okay, let's refine these as the 5 key principles. That was the first stage, and I think what was interesting about it is things came up that weren't the norm. So we started to look at actually what we're trying to describe here is not this, but it's this. So we came up with sort of 5 terms that are sort of partly English and partly not. The first value is called zing, and that's about having that buzz, that refreshing energy, that sort of zest, and sort of that thing that makes a difference. So if one of our guys or girls walks into a room, people know there's a really big difference made by that individual, a zing, a refreshing energy. The second one is profitable. And profitable is a combination of being professional and being likable. And that's a difficult balance for lots of people, being human while still having the technical edge and the proficiency to deliver fantastic work. And the third one, confimility, rather big mouthful.
That's my favorite.
Of course. And this balance between being confident and having humility, so being ego-free, being humble, and being able to bow down and follow when it would be awfully easy to sort of stand on top and say that was all my work. And the fourth value was setting up others for success. So everything we do is about making someone else look good. It's about adding value to someone else. And we sort of have the value add principle as if you're not adding 10% to someone else, you're probably not adding value. And the final one, which sort of brings them all together, is I am WCL, so I am the business. And as a smaller growing business, that matters anyway, but in any business. So for us, it was about when you hand your card, when you climb on a bus, when you talk to someone on the phone, when you interact with a client, you are the brand. So everything that you encompass in that must represent all those values. So that was the sort of general essence of those, but we did a lot more after that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Love the story, especially with Confimility, which is my favorite. So can you tell me a little bit about how you actually took those values and brought them to life?
Bringing it to life for us had a number of different elements. The first thing was having people work on what the actual behaviours were. So we had this awesome day after one of our company's ski trips where everyone defined the positive and the negative behaviours of each of the 5. And that included extreme art and heavy debate and a whole lot of fun. And the whole thing was everyone got to work with them. The other elements were that we bolted these things down in our inductions, in our appraisals, in our 360s. We did a lot of reinforcement early through all the leaders on good behaviours that were happening. We'd ping the emails around. We recognised people with a set of annual awards on each value, which were called the Ashleys, modelled off the academies. And continually made sure that we were reinforcing these even at the job level, so our customer satisfaction looked for those things as well.
And so I guess the final question is, over the years, what is the impact that you've seen from living out values and putting such a heavy emphasis on it?
Yeah, I think it was interesting for us because we always lived them. I think what this did is resonate them even more, so we ended up with a much stronger core. And I think what it also did is it had people sort of realise what it was that was most important to them. So to some degree over time, there were a couple of individuals that sort of didn't feel as quite aligned, and eventually they left the business. So that was, a sort of natural attrition in that sense. So we ended up with a slight churn. I think we ended up with a stronger retention in terms of the business. Client satisfaction, we seem to see a lot more of it come through. So once it was more explicit, people did it more, and because we did actually measure it. And over time, we'd like to think it improved our employer brand, because everyone we talked to said, like, I'd love to work with you guys. So really good impacts in our view.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for sharing this. As you know, this is one of the biggest topics that companies care about. So really appreciate your time and sharing your story. And thank you all. This is part of our Living Your Values series.